This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everyone, we're going to try a new format for this one. I've been besieged. Over almost 300 people have submitted topics to the website. Most of them very different topics from each other. Some consistently, some that I've written on, but there's a lot of topics that I don't think I'll be able to get to writing just in this universe. And I want to encourage people to continue to send topics in. So I think every once in a while we're going to take a step back on the Top Seller podcast and answer some of your emails and some of your questions that have come through our website in the hopes of being able to get to as much of the topics and content as we can. There's going to be some things that we do here that it will re-highlight some of the stuff that we've done historically. And there's a bunch of stuff that are topics that may not ultimately make the front part, but we'll go. And my goal in this is not to have prepared something. I clip the questions and I want to respond to them in time and be able to give people an opportunity to hear from me a little bit off the cuff on some of the things that they're looking for and looking forward to. We'll continue to take feedback on this. I hope this is something that people appreciate, like, and enjoy. They should be a little shorter than the traditional Top Seller podcast, but all in, hopefully they're a terrific addition. So from there, the first question, we had someone write in and ask, we have a high volume, low percentage sale. How do we get through the grind of every single day? I've efforted to handle that question because it's a great question with every single person that's come on the Top Seller podcast before. And I don't know if I've always given my best answer on creating that work-life balance. And I know that I've been pretty open recently about my struggles with anxiety. So hopefully some of the things I can give you now on that question are insights into what are some of the things that I would have changed when I was younger doing this? And what are some of the things I have changed now that I've been a little older and I've been able to attack some of the challenges that I've had on this front? First off, I think the most important thing is to embrace the grind. I think a lot of time, because especially in sports, we look to have everything be positive because we're surrounded by positive things. We just need to understand that we need to get dirty a little bit and that no's are a part of the game and that the grind should be fun. Embracing the grind, having fun with the grind, getting upset at people who said no. If I thought people said no for ridiculous reasons, I'd spend some time grumbling about them or telling a neighbor about them or hopefully trying to find some humor in whatever happened. Hopefully not in a disrespectful way to the potential client, but in a way that, reduces some of that stress, relieves some of that stress, and gives me an outlet with some of my peers to be able to laugh at our job and have that realistic point of view that ultimately we're just trying to sell people tickets to come to an event that they already want to come to and a chance to do it more often with a chance to save them money. And so by making sure that we take a step back, we smile about it, we complain about it, we find something to laugh in, that's a really good start. The second thing that I'd say is you need to create a very strong life outside of here about things that you want to be able to do. One of the ways that I've really been able to combat my struggles with anxiety has been working out. And I'm not someone who lifts a lot of weights. If you see me, you'll know that to be true. But I'm a huge fan of running. Oddly enough, I like the Stairmaster. I like to do things, away from that, like playing basketball or playing softball, things that give me that physical release to some of the struggles that they have. And then I think this is the answer that most people give. You can work long hours, but when you take a step away, make sure you take a step away. And that was not something I was always very good at. My ability to take a step away, always seemed to continue to wrap myself up in work until I met, my current wife. And now when I want to take a step away, I really want to take a step away. I want to stop thinking about the stuff that's going on in work and focus on us and our stepkids. And I believe that creating that strong identity between the working out and making sure that when I stop working for the day, I'm done working for the day. I think those things are really critical. And so finding your ways to be able to do that, I think are really important. But the first thing that you need to do is you need to embrace the grind, have fun with the grind, have fun with no's. Just understand that if someone says no to you again, they're just missing out on an opportunity, nothing more, nothing less than that. And so by embracing that and smiling through that, sometimes with gritted teeth, is the best way to be able to do it, and grounding yourself in this idea that we are selling something fun. These aren't knives. This is an executive consulting sales. We're not selling longshore shipping options, right? We get to do something that other people would kill for and just would love the opportunity to be able to sell. And so not taking ourselves so seriously, doing this with a smile on our face, I think those things are ultimately really critical to us finding that long-term success. The next question was, how do we make sure that we prioritize prospective prospects? I like how that sounds, so I may steal that in the future and going forward, because it's the alliteration is quite lovely. But I think this is one of the most important sales questions that we get asked. I get a lot of people who write into the website citing that they just have struggles with time management when it comes to sales. That making sure that they're spending their time doing the right things is so important. And I think it starts with your clients and your prospects. In sports, we tend to not do a very good job in terms of qualifying our prospects. What does that mean? It means that we don't do the things that are critical to understanding, is this person really interested in buying? And I don't want to give away the farm here. It's a big part of my sales training. But I think there's one very important question you'll be able to ask, and I've written about this on the website, and there are prospecting and qualifying prospects articles on the website, so please check those out. But what I would say to you is sometimes just take a step back and ask yourself one thing. This person that you're calling, whether it's a premium sales lead, whether it's a company, whether it's an individual buyer, someone looking at a partial plan, a group ticket, whatever it is, if this is someone that you had a positive conversation with in the past, and now you are staring at their name and you hate the sight of their name, it's probably time to break up with that prospect. This is not a priority prospect for you, and this is not a priority for them. If an amount of time has passed enough to where it is frustrating you, then it's not worth you putting yourself out there in that situation or continuing to bang your head against the wall trying to get a sale in that situation. So I think it's really critical, and that's be the first place to start when I think about prioritizing prospects. First, I prioritize them based on how much money they mean to the organization, their likelihood to close. But then when we start to take a look at that third layer and we look at some of these prospects that we've worked on, had a good conversation with, aren't hearing back from, we need to have that very difficult conversation with ourselves. Or do we really hate this person yet? Is the sight of their name frustrating on us or annoying us? Because the reality is, if that's the answer to that question, then the reality is they're probably frustrated and annoyed whenever we call or we send an email or we send a text message, etc. I think that's a critical way when it comes to that third level of prioritizing prospects. The next question that came in was focused on retention strategies and what are the best ways to keep making sure that our clients come into the building, because there is a very direct correlation between renewals and butts and seats in our stadium. I think this is really, really important. I think that the minute that you start to see people drift away from their seats, I think that's when you need to go deep into a renewal strategy. And this is what I'd say. People can disagree with this. Wherever I've gone and I've looked at the data going back as far as it would go, when you look at third-year season ticket holders, they seem to normalize in the way that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 15th, 30th year season ticket holders do. The biggest point of differentiation comes with second-year season ticket holders and first. They seem to be the ones that have the biggest fluctuation in terms of their renewal rates. If you want to solve your challenges when it comes to butts and seats correlating to that, you need to do things to ensure that your first and second year season ticket holders are finding their way to the stadium consistently. And here's the important thing. It's not just that they are finding the way to the stadium. That is obviously the best way, but just to make sure that their seats don't go unused. Even if it's not them that's walking into the stadium, the reality is if they're finding ways to get those tickets used, the more likelihood they are to see the long-term value in tickets. So ensuring that we create a touch point plan very specifically for first and second year season ticket holders to make sure that they are utilizing their seats for games. A lot of ticketing systems will be able to track the ticket utilization, but I would also make sure that, especially focusing on your first and second year season tickets, that's whether it's phone calls or emails or text message or follow-ups, once you see them start to miss one game, 2 games, that you start to make those phone calls to make sure they understand how to utilize their tickets. They may seem annoying to the prospects up front, But the reality is once they start getting past 3, 4, 5, 6 games unused, the more likely they are to let more tickets go unused, which hopefully, obviously, will show you that there's a decrease in renewal rate. So if I'm thinking from a team, or I'm thinking as a service rep, or I'm thinking as someone who has to service clients, the biggest thing that I'm focusing on when it comes to retention is the first few games and the first few weeks and the first few months of new and second-year season ticket holders, and focusing and making sure that they're finding a way to utilize their tickets and see value from their tickets. Of course, this isn't going to directly correlate into renewal rate, but I believe that if you can find a way from the start to get them to utilize tickets, to see value in tickets, I believe that you're going to see a better renewal rate overall. Can't promise it, but as I said, I can't promise it, but I do believe very, 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 very strongly that there will be some correlation between those things when everything is said and done. Next, and the last question that I'm going to do this time, like I said, hopefully we'll be able to keep these short and give you some quick answers. I had a question that is, what are some of the new and innovative group sales ideas? I'm going to tell you this, either January or February of next year, we're going to do a month on group sales. I've been avoiding it to make sure I had enough good data to be able to use that, but that doesn't mean I can't address this from time to time. I believe that teams default to nonprofit organizations, they default to companies that come in. I think there's a lot of defaults that we have, and here's the thing, we got to block and tackle, we've got to do these defaults. But one of the things that I would take a look at is thinking about where do groups of large amounts of people have a real need? Here are 3 examples that I want to make sure I highlight. The first, in Columbus, we saw a lot of success working with online school academies. One of the biggest challenges that online school academies have is customer retention and customer loyalty, because in a lot of cases, they don't even actually meet their teacher, much less the other students in the class. So how connected and loyal do you think those people will remain to their school systems and education? But there is a ton of money in it. One of our groups at the Crew did almost 1,500 tickets a year through that program for one event. And so one of the things that you can do with thinking about your stadium as a resource is to be able to invite them down to do opportunities and provide places where these students can get to know their teachers and they can get to know each other, which will drive loyalty for the organization. You've got to think that even if just a handful of kids make that decision to renew each year from the 1,000 that came, that's going to be a net positive for that online school system and be one of those things that sets that system apart from everything else. I think that's a really good way to go. Second, take a look at things that are already happening in your community where your stadium can be a really fun place to execute that at. You're seeing lots of teams do things with yoga, SoulCycle. One of the things that we did, again, when I was at the Crew, was we partnered with the Glow Run. These organizations need marketing to survive, and we have a very large marketing platform, our fan base, to be able to support and give exposure to them, as long as they can help us create an event on our site. I think those opportunities are critically important for you to be able to think about innovative ways. So start thinking about those communities of loyalty, right? You start thinking CrossFit people, you start thinking SoulCycle people. Again, you think about those Glow Run people or runners. How can we use our stadium? How can we use the resources that we have to give these people a marketing platform to people? Hopefully they see our fans as people that are somewhat athletic or at least athletically inclined, and be able to create those platforms to be able to utilize that. But here's the thing, there needs to be some buy-in from those studios and those organizations up front, whether that's a sponsorship purchase up front or a ticket purchase up front. I've seen a lot of these fall flat on their face when it's just a yoga night. We need someone that's helping us carry the message to those people. And that was the great thing about the Glow Run, was the Glow Run essentially got their land for free, and they got marketing for free. but they pushed really hard to get people in too because they were committed to making it as successful as possible. If you don't have one of those anchor tenants to one of those platforms, you're not going to be able to ultimately find success. And finally, we do a lot of work reaching out to companies on the premium sales side or the B2B sales side, and we really focus on season tickets. Once you have them in, and once they see value in season tickets, and once they renew for that next year, make sure that you continue on that conversation about opportunities to bring clients out, bring more people out, bring their employees out to our stadium. We tend to not look at our current client base. We tend to keep a hands-off approach and be able to say, ooh, they're renewing, don't want to push this too hard, but they should. If they've renewed for a year, a second year, they're seeing value with our organization, we need to make sure that we're double and tripling down. So I know it doesn't sound completely innovative to go to our current clients and ask them for those opportunities, but we know businesses have as much or more discretionary income as most nonprofit organizations or anything else. And so once they've seen value through season tickets or a smaller group, don't be afraid to have that conversation as a larger group, and don't be afraid to ask who else within that organization do you think might be able to see value in terms of what you're doing. Again, these are small questions with small answers. There'll be much more coming, or there is much more on the website about all this. Please give your feedback. Shoot me an email, shoot me a tweet what you think about this. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to do more. I've got tons of topics to be able to do. I just want to make sure this is something of value for everyone here. Look forward to seeing everyone down the line or chatting down the line. And thank you for, again, listening to not just this Top Seller podcast, but for all the Top Seller podcasts we've done in the past.